Hey, what is up guys? This is LarryBoy Fanatic, and today I'm going to be showing you my top 8 hardcore LarryBoy moments. Now before we move on, I just want to give a quick shout out to a Kayonta Gaming, who asked me to give them a shout out in one of my videos, so yeah. Hope you're doing awesome, Kayonta Gaming. So up at number 8 is the scene where LarryBoy is raging and LarryBoy in the angry eyebrows. This is where Awful Alvin tries to get LarryBoy angry by doing a couple of things to him, but it isn't until he pours chocolate syrup into the Larrymobile that sets LarryBoy off. Now, in my review of Angry Eyebrows, I've said that this scene lasts for like about 7 seconds before cutting back to the villain. But the reason why I scored this part low on the list is because, yeah, 7 seconds of LarryBoy raging. I mean, this used to give me chills back when I watched this when I was 10 years old. Then again, his expression, oh my gosh, it just seems so silly rather than hardcore. Well, whatever, it was hardcore back then. So moving on. Now up at number 7 is the scene where the Fib is about to eat LarryBoy. Now in this scene, the Fib decides to eat LarryBoy, and then Alfred back at the Larry Cave is trying to figure out who can really stop the Fib, but he unplugs his computer accidentally, which makes this scene even more suspenseful. Now, the reason why I think that this scene was hardcore was because there's so much urgency to save LarryBoy from being eaten by a monster. I mean, come on. Now up at number 6 is the scene in LarryBoy and the Rumor Weed where Alfred is talking about the mother weed. Now, I've explained this scene like in a couple of videos, including the review for this movie, so I'm just going to give you like a brief synopsis of what's going on here. So LarryBoy and Alfred are trying to figure out how the weeds are growing and spreading throughout Bumleyburg, and this basically leads to a big old revelation where there's like a huge mother weed that's underground. And that's where we get these close-ups of their faces. And like I said before, this is what the makers of this movie find funny because of the close-ups and LarryBoy just whimpering. And like I said, I've talked about this scene in a past couple of videos, like the review for this movie, as well as the scene analysis. Now up at number 5, this comes from The League of Incredible Vegetables. It's the scene where LarryBoy steps up to the plate and saves Dr. Flurry. Now the reason why I thought this was really hardcore, because this was really unexpected. I mean, having to sit through Junior Asparagus once again stealing the spotlight from LarryBoy, it was pretty nice to see LarryBoy do something like this. He basically saved the bad guy from dying from his own doing, even though Dr. Flurry was the one that kidnapped him in the first place. Even though most of the movie wasn't too good, this was still like one of the best scenes of that movie. Now up at number 4 is the scene in LarryBoy and the Bad Apple where LarryBoy is saving Petunia. Now this scene is self-explanatory because, well, check this out. Earlier, Petunia Rhubarb was sucked into her video game temptation by the Bad Apple, and now it's up to LarryBoy to go save her from this evil video game temptation. Now the thing about this scene is the animation is really good. The colors, the lighting, all of that is like, it just stands out. And plus, LarryBoy gets to move around with his plunger ears, swinging here to there to try and save Petunia from crashing into one of the, like, what do you call those things? Barriers? I don't know, but this was a pretty cool scene to sit through. And up at number 3 is another scene from LarryBoy and the Bad Apple, but this time we get a scene with the Bad Apple reciting a poem while LarryBoy indulges in his chocolate temptation. Now, first of all, things go terribly wrong with our hero once the Bad Apple gives him a chocolate bar. But as the scene progresses, she turns the entire Larry Cave into what she calls a chocolate room. Then things go downhill once the bad apple starts reciting her poem, while the background becomes like wonky as if somebody dropped some LSD in the background. I don't know. And of course, our hero doesn't know what's going on because he's too busy eating the chocolate. And when I first saw this when I was 13 years old, I was like, what the heck is going on? Why is she doing this? I mean, what's with the backgrounds and all that? But you know, that's really nothing compared to the last two scenes that I'm gonna be mentioning on this list. Up at number 2 is the scene from LarryBoy and the Rumor Weed where LarryBoy takes on the Milk Money Bandit. Like I said before in my previous videos, this scene used to give me goosebumps back then because it was so exciting to watch. You have this Milk Money Bandit stealing money from kids, but then LarryBoy literally, and I mean literally, emerges from the darkness to confront this bad guy. And I can tell that this scene is really badass because it totally reminds you of Batman, right? And this was like the first time that we ever got to see LarryBoy get physical with a bad guy. I mean, literally. But I now bring you guys to number 1, which is LarryBoy's fight scene with the Bad Apple. This was where Big Idea thought outside of the box and decided to put LarryBoy into a legitimate fight scene. I mean, we have the setup, which is the Bumbleyburg Park, and then we have the villain who's on top of her fortress or something like that. Well, it's called the Appley's Funhouse too. The Bad Apple's weapon of choice is a web shooter, which is pretty cool, and she gets to shoot webs at LarryBoy. Meanwhile, LarryBoy is using his plunger ears to dodge each of the Bad Apple's attacks. And eventually, spoiler alert, he headbutts the web shooter, which was pretty dang awesome to watch. Now, I'm not going to give too much away here because this scene has to be seen to be believed, which is why I listed this scene as number 1. So anyways guys, thanks for watching this video. This was my top 8 hardcore LarryBoy moments. And if you liked this video, be sure to click that like button and subscribe. And on that note, this has been the LarryBoy Fanatic. See you guys!